My partner shared a post on Instagram, declaring that no one owns her. Every woman deserves her freedom. She uploaded it right after I discovered her secretly messaging her former boyfriend that I simply grinned. However, when she returned to access her accounts shortly afterward, the surprise awaiting her altered the course of our relationship forever. The whole situation erupted because of a simple dish of reheated stew. I realize how bizarre that might seem, but it's exactly what happened. Just 3 days earlier, I was lounging on the sofa, having my meal and browsing my device while my girlfriend Qley was in the adjacent space, handling one of her lengthy professional discussions. We've shared a relationship for half a decade, and she's resided in my residence for the past 3 years, AITA 38. I run a modest software creation firm. Qley, aged 32, works as a dedicated content creator and social media personality. It's a profession I personally established for her, starting from scratch. Her computer sat on the low table in front of me, displaying her conversations. We maintained a policy of mutual device transparency, at least that's what I believed. A fresh notification appeared, and the sender's identity caused my gut to tighten. Derek, her previous partner. The individual she vowed was a harmful chapter she'd completely cut off from all platforms. The text stated, "That evening we spent was incredible. I keep replaying it in my mind." A chill ran through me. I opened their conversation thread. It extended back several months. Clandestine encounters, playful exchanges, images I'd never encountered before. All those evening fitness sessions and weekend gatherings with friends now revealed a disturbing pattern. They'd connected the prior night, during my overtime hours, to complete an assignment that would cover our planned getaway. I remained silent. I stayed seated, the stew losing all flavor as the previous 5 years flashed before me, now tainted with a harsh perspective. I reflected on the endless efforts I'd invested in her online presence. When we first connected, she held a front desk job with a loose aspiration to become a content writer. I secured the web address for her site. I crafted and programmed the whole platform personally, dedicating numerous evenings to enhance its visibility on search platforms. I educated her on data tracking, revenue sharing, and sponsor collaborations. I established her corporate structure with us both listed as joint executives of the entity that legally controlled her content and promotional resources, a choice I made for financial advantages. I served as the unseen, compensated digital expert supporting her polished virtual existence. I did all this out of affection and faith in her potential. Or perhaps I just trusted in the version of her I imagined. She re-entered the area, still holding her phone to her ear, chuckling. "All right, catch you later. Goodbye," she said cheerfully before ending the call. She dropped down beside me on the furniture, propping her legs on the surface. Those sponsor discussions are exhausting, always so demanding. I rotated the screen toward her. Her expression faded. For a brief moment, raw fear flashed in her gaze, but it vanished quickly, shifting to a stance of resistance. "What? You're invading my personal communications now?" she barked, pulling the device away. "That's a total breach of my boundaries." I maintained a steady tone, eerily composed. "It mentioned the previous evening was wonderful. You spent time with him then, Qley, while I was occupied with work." She dismissed it, rising and folding her arms. "Come on. Derek and I are merely acquaintances. You're acting paranoid and possessive." "Acquaintances?" I echoed, the term bitter on my tongue. "Acquaintances who express they're obsessed with thoughts of you? Acquaintances you've been covertly seeing for ages?" "I refuse to be questioned in my own space," she declared, her volume increasing. "I deserve my own connections. I'm not your possession, Alex. Every female has entitlements." She seized her mobile and marched away. I remained in place, hearing her steps pound upward. The boldness of it all, to be exposed outright and swiftly turn the blame on me, was astonishing. She showed no remorse. She was furious about being discovered. Moments later, my device alerted me. It came from Instagram. Qley had uploaded a fresh image of herself, gazing reflectively through a pane, accompanied by an extensive description. It started, "A gentle nudge that you belong to no one. You possess the authority over your existence, your relationships, and your secrecy. Don't allow a guy's doubts to overshadow your glow or dictate your identity. Every woman has entitlements." And there it was, The widespread story was being crafted. I became the domineering, uncertain partner. She positioned herself as the liberated female, battling for independence. Her audience, the 150,000 individuals unaware that I engineered the very system they viewed, were devouring it. Responses poured in rapidly. Stand strong, lady. Absolutely correct. Icon. End that harmful relationship. I examined the update, then recalled the damning exchanges etched in my thoughts. And I grinned. It wasn't a joyful expression. It was the sort you wear when fate hands you a losing scenario, but you spot the precise strategy that secures victory. She believed her strength lay in her supporters, her visible persona. She'd overlooked that I constructed the arena where she performed. I installed the illumination. I managed the audio. And I retained the primary access to the whole venue. She desired a discussion on entitlements. All right, let's address them. I devoted the remainder of the night in my personal workspace. Initially, I divided our monetary resources. I transferred most funds from our shared reserve account, the earnings from my enterprise, my family legacy, into a fresh one solely in my name. I preserved her share, which was comically minimal. I accessed our payment card profiles and eliminated her as a secondary holder. The economic link was severed. Then I addressed her digital kingdom, her virtual existence. I began with the online platform. Naturally, I held complete oversight privileges. I updated the access code. Then I navigated the back end and systematically hid every article she'd ever produced. Half a decade of material, removed from visibility in roughly 20 minutes. I substituted her elegantly crafted main page with a plain blank canvas and one sentence in simple dark lettering. This platform is now under fresh oversight. Kindly return later for developments. Subsequently, her online profiles. The credentials were stored in my secure vault. I entered her Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. I altered the codes and backup contacts for each, redirecting them from her details to a novel one I set up specifically for this. I avoided erasing her entries. For now, I merely stored them away, concealing them from sight. Her lively, meticulously arranged pages were now empty canvases. Lastly, I managed the enterprise proper, the organization where we served as joint leaders. I composed an official document via a standard form, informing her of an urgent leadership session to deliberate the prompt termination of our collaboration owing to a violation of terms. Particularly, her behaviors that damaged the reputation. It was somewhat tenuous from a legal standpoint, but sufficient to alert her. By the early hours, Qley's complete internet footprint, the origin of her earnings and self-image, was entirely in my grasp. She remained above, likely resting peacefully, envisioning her liberated future with Derek. She had no clue she was on the verge of awakening without a virtual home. She viewed herself as royalty in her fortress. She was about to learn it was a fragile structure, and the waves were approaching. Update 1. A full day later, the quietness this morning felt more oppressive than normal. Appreciate the outpouring of feedback and encouragement. It's reassuring to realize I'm not the one who's gone insane. Qley descended around 9 in the morning, clad in exercise leggings and a short shirt, prepared to begin her routine of generating material. She ignored me completely, heading directly to the brewing machine with a vibe of arrogant challenge. She retrieved her computer from the lounge and positioned herself at the counter, eager to interact with her devoted admirers. I lingered at the dining area, savoring my brew, and observed. I saw her input her Instagram credentials. Puzzled look. Attempt again. Her forehead creased in bewilderment. She tried her Facebook login. Identical outcome. Irritation showed on her features. She grumbled about technical issues with her gadget and aimed to enter her site's control area. That's when the initial fracture emerged in her poise. She gazed at the empty white display with its lone message. What on earth? Where's my content? I kept my gaze on my drink. Appears it's under new leadership. Her attention whipped toward me, her expression filled with a blend of puzzlement and emerging dread. What have you done? I safeguarded my investments. I replied steadily. The ones I developed. She fumbled with her mobile, digits racing over the display. Access denied, she uttered, her tone beginning to waver. Nothing works. My Instagram? It's empty. All my images vanished. The alarm was escalating. This was genuine. No malfunction. You have no right? She yelled. Leaping up so abruptly, her seat dragged noisily on the ground. That's my profession. That's my world. You can't seize it. Our profession, I amended. We hold joint leadership in the entity possessing those resources, and as the chief technical officer, I've chosen to suspend the operation until a collaboration assessment. You ought to have an alert via electronic mail regarding the critical leadership gathering. Her complexion paled. She grasped it at last. The corporate filing, the shared executive role, the elements she brushed off as tedious documents, now confined her. This is over Derek, right? She hurled, her terror morphing into fury. You're retaliating against me. This violates the law. I'll take legal action. Proceed, I responded, enjoying another drink. I'm certain your attorney will find the conversations with Derek fascinating, particularly the segments detailing rendezvous while I supported your way of life. It's a standard violation of corporate responsibility. She gaped at me, without words. The liberated female from social media had disappeared, supplanted by a trapped creature. She snatched her vehicle opener and rushed from the dwelling, banging the entrance. The following hours brought a series of repercussions. Near midday, messages arrived from the sponsors she collaborated with. They routed to me since I was the main liaison on all agreements. They expressed confusion. Her profiles were vacant. Her site was offline. What was occurring? I answered each with a courteous, businesslike note. Owing to unexpected developments, the Qley's stylish existence brand is experiencing a significant overhaul. We'll contact you soon about the path forward. Sorry for any disruption. Then the communications via phone commenced. Initially from her companions, insisting on explanations for my actions. I conveyed the same to everyone. Qley and I are addressing a confidential corporate issue. I recommend you remain uninvolved. Next, her parent. She unleashed a rant about my cruelty, accusing me of attempting to ruin her child. I haven't done a thing, I stated, my delivery even. Qley selected a path. She's merely encountering the outcomes now. Inquire about Derek. I disconnected prior to her reply. Qley, apparently, had fled directly to Derek's residence. I learned this as around mid-afternoon, an unfamiliar contact rang. It was him. Man, you need to stop, he declared, attempting to appear intimidating. You can't just take her property. Restore her profiles. Keep away from this, Derek, I advised. This concerns me and my associate. She's not your associate. She's your partner. You're behaving like a deranged former lover. In truth, I countered, relishing this excessively. If you review the official records, we're indeed lawful collaborators in a limited liability company. A company you've assisted her in undermining. My legal advisor notes your involvement, incidentally. It's called wrongful meddling. You may wish to research that. He ended the call. I suspect that concluded his valiant effort. The notion of entanglement in disputes likely wasn't in his idealized vision. I utilized the remaining time organizing her possessions. Not in discard sacks. I exceeded that level. I acquired containers, adhesive strips, a writing tool. I neatly arranged her garments, protected her trinkets with wrapping, and marked every package. It seemed systematic, conclusive, purifying. She returned near 8 in the evening, lacking defiance this round. She appeared shattered, her eyelids swollen and crimson. She avoided shouting. Please restore them, Alex, she murmured. That's everything to me. No, it wasn't, I clarified without harshness. You possessed me. You had this dwelling. You had a companion who'd sacrifice anything for you. You discarded all of it for him. The site, the audience, that was merely what I constructed for you. It never truly belonged to you. I gestured toward the pile of packages near the exit. Your individual items are prepared. I'll assist in placing them in your vehicle. She lingered there, moisture flowing down her cheeks, at last comprehending the complete magnitude of her loss. She hadn't merely forfeited her credentials. She'd forfeited her universe. Update 2. 7 days on. A week has passed since the online dismantling. The stillness in the residence is something I'm adapting to. Once more, gratitude for the immense backing. Perusing your thoughts has provided an odd form of resilience amid this ordeal. Qley's exit was a dismal event. She contacted her dad to aid in transporting her items. He showed up seeming ready for confrontation, yet he held back. He merely scowled throughout, breathing heavily while lifting packages as Qley wept in her automobile. He attempted to initiate a dispute once, claiming I was spiteful. "I'm simply a man who learned his partner of 5 years was unfaithful," I informed him. My demeanor remained steady. "The remainder is purely commercial. You, above all, should grasp that." He lacked a retort. The subsequent days offered a lesson in observing someone battle an overwhelming force with inadequate tools. Qley's initial strategy was to establish fresh online profiles. The authentic Qley without filters. She shared an extended, emotional clip detailing how her harmful previous partner had appropriated her life's efforts and sought to mute her. Failed miserably. Primarily, her following was splintered. She couldn't contact her prior supporters. But crucially, I held the facts. I avoided public involvement. It wasn't necessary. I dispatched one brief message to several key sponsor coordinators she associated with. It included select captures of her exchanges with Derek, timestamps evident. I merely noted, "This represents the misconduct I referenced. This explains the brand's reorganization. I expect you'll treat this discreetly. The field is more interconnected than perceived." In under 2 days, her feeble revival effort was halted. No sponsor would engage her. The account of her betrayal, linked to her lack of professionalism, circulated rapidly through the hidden networks of the content promotion sphere. Her defamation effort against me collapsed instantly since the decision-makers knew the genuine narrative. Her following approach involved legal pursuit. I got a document from her retained counsel, requiring prompt return of all virtual resources and halting use of her identity and appearance. My counsel replied the following day with one bundle. It held a duplicate of our company pact. Signatures prominent.it also featured an official declaration of my plan to pursue claims against her for violation of executive obligations, improper use of organizational resources, for hidden outings with Derek, and harm to the brand's standing. The correspondence ended by noting that should she continue, we'd meet in litigation, where her infidelity details would enter public domain via evidence gathering. Her counsel contacted mine 48 hours later to confirm they wouldn't advance. She lacked funds for a courtroom fight. And more vital, she couldn't endure the exposure of her secrets in open proceedings. The former partner, Derek, has disappeared. Via a shared contact, I learned that once he received my communication and understood possible ramifications, he severed ties. He restricted Qley across platforms. He lacked interest in the authentic, complicated Qley devoid of assets, that he only desired the illusion of the prosperous, elegant content creator. When the allure faded, he did too. The most gratifying element of this period has been the reimagining. I reinstated the site and all profiles. Yet they appear transformed. I removed the interim new oversight notice. The platform now serves as the formal showcase for my software firm. I've uploaded project analyses, including a thorough, nameless overview of expanding a lifestyle content site from nothing to 150,000 supporters in 3 years, highlighting my optimization, promotion, and networking expertise. The Instagram profile is now my firm's business page. I stored away all except a handful of her most neutral, visually appealing shots, sceneries, arrangements of beverages, and such, and began sharing on design techniques, promotion advice, and industry updates. I updated the description to originator and primary coder. I construct identities. The sarcasm is nearly flawless. Her foundation, erected on deception, has evolved into a showcase of my genuine, practical abilities. And the finest aspect? It's succeeding. I've acquired more than 1,000 fresh connections this week, all from the technology and promotion sectors. I've received 3 substantial requests for collaborations, one from a prominent entity, all due to the impressive shift. Qley must be observing this. She must witness her image and efforts being wiped and substituted by mine. She must note the audience numbers, which have scarcely declined, now interacting with my material. She formed an identity on fabricated, staged existence. I've supplanted it with one rooted in authentic, valuable expertise. Her family continues efforts to mediate, contacting me. Leaving pleas for mercy and fresh starts, I've restricted their contacts. This never concerned mercy. It focused on repercussions. Qley formed her sense of self on a structure I originated, and upon her disloyalty, she forfeited the structure. Straightforward. She lacked entitlement to my labor, my efforts, or my devotion after discarding them. Final update. 90 days on. 3 months have elapsed since my existence veered dramatically. The residence is serene, tidy, and wholly mine. The containers of Qley's belongings were collected by a relocation service 60 days ago. I was absent for it. No need. That segment concluded. The repercussions of Qley's virtual collapse have exceeded my expectations. Her bids to revive her profession crumbled dramatically. The content creator realm relies on genuineness, or its facade. Once that facade shattered, she possessed zilch. Her reputation was spoiled. She became the individual who deceived the man who forged her whole profession, then forfeited everything instantly. It served as a warning story, murmured in promotion groups. From rumors, her existence has involved stark awakenings. Post Eric's desertion. She attempted residency with a fellow content peer, but it endured under 30 days. The bond evidently was as exchange-based as her sponsor deals. Minus her position and entry, she represented a burden. She ultimately returned to her family's home. Latest reports indicate she's employed as a greeter in a dining establishment in her origin town. There's a stark elegance in that. The lady who orchestrated an artificial opulent online world now directs patrons in an actual eatery, compelled to grin and act courteous for basic pay. Her social post on female entitlements echoes empty today. She possessed the entitlement to her decisions, and I held the entitlement to withhold support or facilitation. She had the entitlement to an existence sans me, and now she owns it. My existence, conversely, has become an unforeseen revival. Converting her former site and profiles into a display for my enterprise was the optimal promotion decision I've executed. The tale of the transformation, though I've avoided public verification of specifics, turned into a myth in my regional technology community. It's attracted numerous fresh patrons, superior to prior ones. I've recruited 2 additional coders to manage the volume. The enterprise has multiplied earnings in the recent period. I seized the identity she almost ruined with falsehoods and reconstructed it into a prosperous venture on my authenticity. I received one last, feeble outreach from her roughly 30 days back. It was a message from a novel address. It was an extended, wandering regret, the type composed when alternatives dwindle. She expressed remorse, admitted foolishness, claimed she longed for me. She inquired if I'd contemplate transferring the platform and profiles back to her. She asserted she had transformed. I doubted it. Individuals like Qley don't evolve. They adjust methods. She didn't long for me. She yearned for the existence I supplied. She missed the arena, the revenue, the praise. I answered with one phrase. The identity is unavailable for purchase. I never received further contact. The retribution, ultimately, wasn't about her ruin. I avoided disseminating her exchanges. I shunned public embarrassment. I merely recovered what belonged to me. The outcomes she endures aren't my invention. They stem naturally from her deeds. She erected a fragile edifice on my base, and when she sought to dismantle the base, the entire structure collapsed. I'm involved with someone fresh now. She's a visual artist, and our dialogues cover programming in hues, about creating jointly, not for display, but genuinely. Recently, we examined my firm's Instagram, the one formerly hers. She indicated one of the stored scenery images. That's a stunning capture, she remarked. Where did it originate? From a journey ages ago, I replied, and for the initial instance, no resentment, no grudge, merely separation. The scenery was splendid, but the companion wasn't. And then I stored the final remnants of Qley's images. The canvas is fully blank. I'm forging something novel, superior on my personal base. And this occasion, I'm the sole holder of the access.